Disney presents. From Adventureland, Wild Burro of the West.
Evensong, tolling a time of tranquility, in a world of peace, though not plenty, freedom, though not liberty, contentment, though not ease. The world of the little burro. The center of her world was a little farm in the northern part of Mexico. Here she served her master devotedly as a pack animal. In payment for her labors, she had come to expect these simple rewards: the touch of a gentle hand, then the luxury of a dust bath, and after that, refreshment and rest.
Hey, chiquita. La cena está lista. Ven, chiquita. Duerme bien, chiquita.
Affection, comfort, security. It was a good life. At first, it seemed like a dream. The dust, the heat, the heavy burden. But it wasn't a dream. It was reality, harsh and cruel. All her life, the little burro had obeyed without question. But as the morning wore on, she began to feel a growing rebellion. These strangers were not like her master. They drove her with pain instead of kindness, without rest or water, denied her even the poorest morsel of food.
Whoa!
The little burro couldn't know, of course, that she was actually partner in a crime. She had been shanghaied to carry water for a couple of small-time rustlers.
What are you stopping for? Border Patrol. Where do they clear out?
Along with frustration and resentment came the need to escape, and now she sensed an opportunity.
The Burro. She's getting away. Burro! Burro there! Burro! Burro there! Hold up there! Move! Hooey! Burro! Well, now, get on back. Yeah, move! Right. Yeah, move 'em out! Yeah!
reached the border, the land began to change, for the worse. Now the great American desert, a blast furnace of searing heat. But the ordeal had to end, and finally it did, at Dead Man's Well. It was here at this desert oasis that the herd would water and bed down for the night. There was only a trickle left. And in her search for that last cool drop, she was oblivious to everything else. Scant as it was, the water revived her, renewed her hope for escape. And this looked like another opportunity.
That dumb critter don't know when she's licked. Yeah, she'll keep all right.
Higher animals can feel resentment and dislike. And what the little burro felt now was akin to hate for all men. The summer storm was a threat. The herd might panic, stampede. Next morning, the scavengers of the desert were up early, anticipating a hearty meal. But this time they were a bit previous. The little burro was very much alive. Now, rested and refreshed, she took her bearings. There was no sign of her kidnappers. Now she could backtrack, find her way home. But the rain had washed away her trail. Which way to turn? The land was vast and strange. Except for the distant mountains. They seemed familiar, like the mountains of home. All through the morning and afternoon, the little burro pushed on. Her need for water became a choking agony. Then, a cool, clear lake, a promise of relief. But it was a false promise. It was a desert mirage. Only the stubborn persistence of her breed kept the little burro going. And finally, the lava beds marked the end of the desert. Just beyond, she found the first signs of life. A herd of wild burros. Surely they would lead her to water. The little burro wasn't hurt, but she was exhausted. Coyotes. They will rarely attack a large animal, but they sense the burro's weakness. Barred by the scent of man, the coyotes would come no closer. But they were patient. They would wait. When the little burro dropped in so suddenly, she caught another guest by surprise. This was Spots, star boarder and household pet. It was a strange household, but typical of its kind. The home and castle of one of those old prospectors who still scratch a living from the abandoned gold mines of the desert. This prospector's name was Andy Andrews. Andy had spotted the lurking coyotes.
You're trying to snitch my grub again, huh? What you need is a good dusting. Well, little feller, where did you come from? Come on, little burro, come on.
For all wild things, Andy felt an abiding kinship. He figured her for a wild burro, cut off from the herd, obviously scared and thirsty.
Now, have a little water, girl. Come on, come on. All right, then don't. Makes no difference to me.
But it did make a difference. Along with a soft heart, Andy had a practical mind. A burro could be a big help to him, lugging firewood, toting ore from the mine and the like. Ah, but shucks, it'd be just a waste of time. You never could trust a wild one. To the little burro, all men were her enemies now. Of course, she'd have to move on, but first, water. And yet, when night came, the little burro was still there. She had found water and forage here. But more important, this shack was beginning to look like home. So, all things considered, maybe it would be safer to stay, just till morning. Daylight brought new temptation, the smell of home cooking. Familiar and irresistible. When Andy found the little burro was still there, he toyed again with the idea of breaking her as a pack animal, and gave it up again.
Come again, Spots.
she was getting mighty friendly. Might be worth a try. Tasted like some kind of tortilla. Delicious.
That's a girl. Well, back marks.
With a touch of his gentle hand, the little Burro was sure now this man meant her no harm.
We can put you to work right away.
The familiar sight of a pack was reassuring, too. This was the kind of life she knew.
Sure are dusty. It's a good name for you.
It wasn't the name she minded, it was the halter. She would have followed him anywhere. Now she was mad. Just wait till he tried to cinch her. It was a clever trick, all right. Only trouble was, Andy knew the treatment. Now war was officially declared. She held still for the last load, but it was only the calm before the storm.
All right now, Dusty, let's see you earn your keep. What's eating you? Let's get a move on. Come on now, dag nabbit. Come on now.
The way Spot saw it, this partnership wasn't going to last.
What do you think you're doing? Whoa. Now, come on, move. Dusty, come on now. Come on, girl. You ornery, slab-sided, flea-bitten knothead. Come on now, fat kid. Dusty.
It took most of the morning, but they finally wore each other out. And as they neared Andy's mine, a temporary truce had been declared. And then Dusty saw the mine shaft. She certainly wasn't going in there.
Whoa! Dusty! Whoa, Dusty! Whoa! Why, you flea-bitten knothead? Whoa, Dusty! Whoa! Whoa! Shut up. Whoa! Whoa, Dusty! Steady now, girl! Whoa! Dusty! Whoa! Whoa!
Dusty lost her pack, her master, and her way, all in a matter of minutes. And it was in one of these blind canyons that a whole new chapter in her life began. This was Blackjack, king of the wild burrows. These foothills had been his private domain for more than a decade, and by a royal prerogative, he claimed all stray females, or jennies as they're called, for his harem. The courtship took place in Hidden Valley, a little Eden high in the foothills. In her life as as a domestic animal, Dusty had little contact with creatures of the wild. But she instinctively felt that with Blackjack she would find security. From now on, he would be her champion, her protector. So it was that Dusty accepted Blackjack as her mate. Later that afternoon, when Blackjack led her out of Hidden Valley, it's likely that Dusty knew feelings of pride in her noble mate, even a sense of possession. But when they entered High Tanks, the heart of his domain, she was quickly disillusioned. Blackjack's harem. She would only be one of many. Indeed, she wouldn't even be his favorite. That position was already held by a little Jenny called Tiny. Wild burros live a nomadic existence. Blackjack kept his harem constantly on the move. Now, as he rounded up his Jennies, he took it for granted that Dusty would join the others. It was the last indignity. But she'd had enough of loneliness. Now at least she would be with her own kind. Acceptance by Blackjack didn't mean welcome from the herd. Certainly not from Tiny. Jealous, short-tempered, she would tolerate no rivals. This stranger must be driven away. Dusty, it seemed, had a knack for stepping into trouble. She was hobbled and helpless now. She could starve, die of thirst, or even fall prey to marauding mountain lions. It was a grim outlook. And then Andy happened along, heading home from his day at the mine. And the last thing he wanted to see was that dad-blame Burro. But her plea was too heart-rending to resist.
Easy now, easy. By rights, I ought to leave you for the pussy. That's all you're good for. Consarn flea bag. There.
Now, as far as Andy was concerned, they were quits. But Dusty wanted bygones to be bygones. And in the end, Andy was willing. And so, out of mutual need, an enduring partnership was formed. Through the months that followed, the partnership flourished. Sometimes, on prospecting trips, Dusty was merely an interested spectator. More often, around the seasons, she served Andy with steadfast devotion and was in turn repaid with unfailing kindness. And so, master and servant became friend and companion to share and share alike in everything. And when day's toil gave way to evening's rest, this was the happiest time of all, a time for peace and harmony, and for Andy's desert nocturne. And so a happy year passed by. It was Andy's regular day to drive to town for supplies. But this time he was reluctant to leave Dusty alone. He didn't know how or when it had happened, but there wasn't any doubt of it. Dusty was in foal.
All right, Dusty. I reckon you got everything you need. Now, you just stay put till I get back. I'll be home along about sundown. Bye, Dusty. Bye.
For some time now, the stirring of new life within had made Dusty restless, fretful. She knew by instinct that soon she would play her part in some unknown ritual. But first she must find a place to be alone. Heavy with her foal, Dusty made slow progress. It was almost midday when she reached the old mine shaft, once forbidding, but now a sanctuary. 1 hour. 2 hours. Then in the darkness, a spark of light. The foal was a sturdy little jack. He would be called Nugget. Dusty was a proud mother, and a solicitous one. Instinctively, she knew he must be urged to seek nourishment. But Nugget didn't need urging. What he needed was a better sense of direction. With Mother's help, eventually he came in on the beam, with gratifying results. Nugget made his first appearance in the outside world when he was just hours old. This is nature's way with grazing animals. For survival, they must rely on fleetness of foot. So the newborn develop and gain strength quickly. Now that her ordeal was over, Dusty wanted to get back to the shack and Andy. Then, something on the wind. A threat. She sensed it, but couldn't see it. A mountain lion. Nugget wanted to nurse, but he would have to wait. The scent of peril was growing stronger. The lion rarely attacks a full-grown burro, but a foal is easy prey. To a burro, a mountain lion is a mortal enemy, a ruthless killer. But of course, the cat moves only in blind obedience to nature's law of survival. On silent pause, death grew closer. Dusty sensed it, but dared not show her fear. If she pushed the foal too hard, he might panic, lose his footing on the rocky cliffs. to hunt again. But for the time being, he'd lost his taste for Burro. Blackjack had caught the scent of the killer, too, and he had been leading his jennies to the safety of the desert floor. Now he arrived on the scene in time to claim the victor, if not the victory. And Dusty was willing. She sensed that with the herd, her foe would be safe. With the coming of the hot summer months, it was Blackjack's custom to lead his harem across a wide sweep of desert to the cooler grazing grounds of the high country. Dusty adjusted to life with the herd quickly, and in this time of motherhood for all, she was accepted by everyone, even her old enemy, Tiny. For Nugget, this was a time of growth, a time of learning. And now the Roadrunner was about to give him a lesson on the subject of curiosity. To her, this monstrous creature was a threat to her young. And being an accomplished actress, she resorted to high tragedy to lure him away. The broken wing act. When the herd left the desert behind and moved along the treacherous trails that lead to the high country, Nugget's schooling continued. This time, a failing grade could mean death. A full-grown burro is as sure-footed as a mountain goat, but it's a trait that must be developed by experience. Nugget had passed the test, barely. Finally, trails end, the lush pastures and grazing grounds of the mountain meadows. Here the herd would spend the summer. There was ample food and water for the jennies, and this in turn assured ample nourishment for the foals. Here, too, was peace and security under the constant vigilance of Blackjack. This was also a sort of vacation for the foals. Nugget's favorite playmate was Tiny's foal, Cinder. Together, they spent hours in endless frolic. After the romp, rest. And sometimes in the cool of the summer night, when the wind sang through the pines, its music had a strange, haunting note. In Dusty, it stirred old memories of other times and other places. In the high ranges, snow comes early. This was the signal for Blackjack to return to his winter quarters in the desert foothills. For the homecoming herd, there was to be a witness, Andy. He never saw Burro without thinking of Dusty. He'd always figured old Blackjack might have shanghaied her. Maybe she was still with him.
Whoa, dang it, whoa! Old bucket of boats. Ain't one thing, it's another. Now, simmer down there. Simmer down. Ouch! Oh, Dad, blast it.
If there's one cardinal rule on the desert, it's never run short of drinking water. But Andy didn't think he was being foolhardy. After all, the shack was only a quarter of a mile away. One swallow would hold him. Right now, the truck needed it more than he did. Out of an empty canteen can come lingering death. The desert also provides a quicker way.
There's no coming this year going to blazes. Maybe this bandana will hold it together till we get back to the track.
The snake had missed. The scalding water had saved Andy's life. But it had blinded him, too. And the pain in his eyes was a burning torment. Something to relieve it, anything. All he had was axle freeze. Andy was in trouble and knew it. No water, scant cover from the sun, and no one would find him here. So there was nothing to do but wait. When night came, maybe he could make it back to the shack. Up in the hills, Blackjack was heading straight for High Tanks in the end of the long stretch. But Blackjack was in for a shock. His own private water hole had been taken over by a herd of wild horses. Blackjack looked for the stallion, expecting trouble. But there didn't seem to be any stallion, just these mares. This suited the old veteran well. He didn't mind adding a few mares to his harem. But first, water for himself and the Jennies. Young, eager for a fight. Winner take all. In preparation for combat, the stallion began the customary ritual. To get his mares out of harm's way, he bunched them together. Blackjack would have stamped this usurper into the earth. Now, for the first time, he chose a different strategy. Let the Jennies drink, then he would retreat. There were other water holes in the hills. Too young to fight, Nugget was just curious. The stallion sensed at once that this little foal was not his enemy. His quarrel was with a more worthy foe. was a victory in Blackjack's defeat. Although the stallion had won High Tanks, the Wild Jack had kept his jennies, and to him that was all that mattered. Now, as he began his search for another water hole, Andy's truck loomed in his path. To wild burros, any sign of man spells danger. But it didn't to Dusty. Once again, old memories began to stir. And like an irresistible magnet, the truck drew her closer. Of course, all that Nugget saw was danger. In a choice between sunstroke and snakes, Andy had taken a chance. It was a little cooler under the truck. He'd heard the burros pass, and now it sounded like one was returning. In that case, better move back. No sense getting stopped. But hold on. Wasn't likely a wild burro had come so close. Aren't eyes. Couldn't make out.
Dusty? That you, old gal? Come on, Dusty. It's me, Andy. Remember? Where are you, gal? Come on. Oh, sure, there you are. That's better. That's my Dusty. You didn't forget. You come back. Steady now, gal. Steady. Good old Dusty. All right now. Let's get on home.
Now, it's quite likely that with the coming of night, Andy would have found his way home in any case. Thanks to the healing powers of axle grease, his sight had returned. The important thing was, though, with Dusty back, home was a happier place. But Nugget, born to the wild, would never be happy here. Jack appeared to claim his own. Nugget's decision was instinctive and immediate. For Dusty, it wasn't so easy. Blackjack and her foal, or Andy. So in the end, all things considered, it was as it should be. Nugget would stay with his sire and the wild herd that someday would be his. But Dusty's place was with Andy. This time, the little burro had come home to stay.